So you can see I am sitting at my parents' house is where I am. So as many of you know, if you watch the Who Am I video, there's some blackout dates where I am not on cruise ships. And so that is this weekend. So I am not on a ship this weekend. It is a blackout weekend for me because I'm in North Carolina celebrating my birthday, which is today. My twin was also born on the same day. That's how twins work. So we're celebrating his birthday, and my niece Addison was born on Thursday. So we celebrate her birthday as well. So it's a big celebration of birthdays over the weekend, and I always try to be here for those birthdays. So it is really nice. I was thinking today, everybody keeps asking me, what am I going to do for my birthday? How am I celebrating? And since I'm not on a cruise ship, you all know that I would love to be on a cruise ship right now. I figured why not come and hang out with all of you for a little bit to celebrate my birthday, to say hello, check in, and see how everything's going. So I see that there's some comments already going. Happy birthday. Thank you, everybody. Charles, Matt, Rose, the NYC lover. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. This is a big one for me. So I am actually turning a big number this year. So I'm still hesitant on saying it, but I am turning 40 years old. I get that question a lot on the ships, actually, especially if I'm on a longer sailing, which you all know doesn't happen often. Traditionally, I wind up getting recognized for being one of the top three cruisers in points with Royal Caribbean. And the question I get all the time is, how old are you? There's even this one case where we had finished up the top tier party. I think I came in second place or third place, maybe. But this guy came running down to me and he's like, "Hey, can you settle a bet between me and my girlfriend or wife on how old are you?" And so I told him I was still 39. That was on the Mariner of the Seas. That I was 39. And he's like, "Ah, I won. I told her you weren't over 40." Well, now I cannot say that anymore. So I have put off turning 40 for this long of a period of time, and figured, you know what? I think I'm ready. Let's go ahead and move on with it. I'll let it happen. And so I am officially 40 years old now. So a little bit of a milestone. I'm still coming to terms with that term, if you will, and being more into the Middle Ages, but excited to be here, and hopefully it is a life well lived. If you live long enough, I would say aging is never a fun process. But so far, I am still in the it gets better every single year. So I am very fortunate from that perspective. And a lot of that is from you all. So I have really enjoyed picking up this new hobby and passion of mine over the last year, which is the YouTube channel of the Weekend Cruiser. So I have had a blast hanging out with all of you, getting to know you more, and still growing this community with hopefully a lot of educational content. I try not to share a lot of my opinions, or if I share my opinion, I say where somebody else may have a different opinion, and try to make it a very balanced conversation without scaring anybody. I never like using, too strong of language. But hopefully you all appreciate the content. So thank you for making this year probably one of the most memorable ones. I started this channel in August of last year, so just a few weeks before my birthday. And you all know that it took a little bit to grow. And then overnight, with the COVID videos, if you haven't watched those are by far the most popular. And probably many of you did see those. They got a lot of attention, even when I was going on the cruise ships. People didn't quite know that I was the weekend cruiser just yet. They just knew that I was the COVID guy. People like, "Hey, you're the COVID guy." And so I am glad that I do not get that on the ships anymore. When people recognize me, they recognize me as the weekend cruiser now, versus recognizing me as that COVID guy. So glad that we've been able to shift away from that content as much as everybody likes seeing those videos, because nobody was talking about COVID back then, and what that process looked like on the ships. I was, glad to bring that to everybody and kind of take some of the secrecy off of it. But glad that you all have made the transition with me away from COVID topics. Of course, we'll always chat about it. If there is an update like there was a few weeks ago with the vaccination policies, we'll always chat about those. But hopefully, knock on wood, no more quarantine in my future, and hopefully not in any of your futures. Stoned, thank you for welcoming me to the club. Oh, Mitchell, it was not that long ago for you on turning 40. Welcome everybody. Rose, thank you for I don't know if that's a super sticker or chat, whatever it is, but thank you so much for the monetary contribution. I was actually just talking with my nephew who's sitting right off here off screen, Holden, who I've referenced a few times on the channel. He's fascinated with YouTube. He's got his own YouTube channel as well. I mean, he's asking me about how much the setup here because he can see what's behind this screen. What you guys are looking at is my high school desk. So I'll go into that in a little bit more, but you're seeing all the stuff that, my parents have accumulated or kept since I've moved out and they've commandeered this room. But what's behind this screen is a lot of stuff from my laptop. I've got cords, I've got two different lights, a gimbal, I've got the camera, I've got a mic system. It is a lot. So it is certainly appreciated, Rose. Thank you. And thank you for everybody that, watches the channel. So we do get paid out on ads. One of these days, I'll probably go through and make a video just on how much money I do make from YouTube. It is not a lot by any stretch. I think I'm up to where I can buy one interior cabin a month on a cruise with this channel, for a weekend cruise, that is. But it is a lot of work that goes into this. And so thank you if you do watch the videos. Thank you for always pressing that like up button. I see a lot of you have done that already in these comments, as well as for commenting, whether you just say great video or you ask a question. That always tells the algorithm that it's doing really, really good, and that you have engaged with it, and so it should try to push it out to a few more folks. So I'd like to do some more live. So one of the things, and I don't know how long we're going to chat today, but I want to pick you all's brains. So if you are here in a live, you're probably one of the strong weekend cruiser folks that are out there. And so I'm looking at when's the best time to do a live. This is a Friday evening, which is probably not ideal. Hopefully, a lot of you are getting ready for your Friday evening plans. If not, that's absolutely fine. But I'm curious, when would be the best time to do a weekend cruiser live? So if I was to say, okay, let me do one a week or one every other week, because I do enjoy doing these, I do enjoy the comment section. When would be the best day and time, do you think, for you all to be able to tune into a live? So type in the comments for me, if you will. When's the best time that you'd want to do a live, or when could you make it? Thank you again for all the birthday wishes from Sandra, from George, Chris, Maria Antigua. How are you? I haven't seen you in ages. I guess it's hopefully your season tickets are coming to an end and you'll be coming back to freedom. Though I'm probably going to be going up to Liberty for a little bit, but I will see you very, very soon, hopefully. Maria is somebody else who I get to see very frequently on the cruises, which I always love. And thank you, Rose. So, any comments on when you guys would like to see a live video? So, I don't think anybody's commented on that unless it's running at a little bit of a delay. One thing that I was thinking through, so I'll throw out some options for you all. So, I am on the cruise ships on weekends, right? I was really thinking of doing a live video maybe on Saturday or Sunday morning, from either the cruise ship or maybe from Coco Cay. If I can figure out a power source at Coco Cay, I might be able to go live there a few times as well. So, what do you all think about tuning into a live on Saturday or Sunday morning? Is that much too early, or what are your thoughts? Chris, that is a great point. There is a strong contingent in the U.S. So YouTube gives us all sorts of algorithms. There's about 75% of you all are based here in the U.S., and the rest of you are a hodgepodge throughout. So I'm glad that these can be in a replay format because there's not going to be a great time at all. I know if I do it in the morning, I can probably catch some of the UK folks, but I'm going to lose my West Coasters because they'll still be asleep at that point. Mitchell, Sunday morning's looking like a good one. Saturday morning would be great from Rose. Awesome. So probably not the ideal time, but one show that I really enjoyed watching when I actually watch more TV. I don't really watch it now. Was the CBS Saturday morning show, which was always something that I looked forward to. And I kind of think I don't have a good routine anymore on what can take that time. So I'm thinking like a 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock kind of time that I could do a live from the ship. I've got a Bahamas hotspot. So even with Starlink these days, I don't think that I would trust it to do a live stream video with this high of quality that you're seeing come across now. I've heard a lot of variability. I've seen the variability on the ships. So I would use my Bahamas hotspot. But speaking of Starlink, I'm curious, has anybody used it on Independence yet? So I just got installed there not too long ago. And one of the viewers reached out to me and said, is this normal? Like he was getting 3.5 megabits per second on his download speed, which is pretty horrible. That is back to, I mean, Vision of the Seas that I was just on, which is a small ship with very old technology, was getting about the same thing. And it clearly was on Starlink. I don't know if they were still figuring it out or, a lot of people bought it thinking that, oh, it's here, we have to have it. But his download speed was pretty bad. Ryan G, power outlets in the Chill Island Cabana. There are. I did get to use them when I was at the Overwater Cabana. That's one place that I did go live from, but that is cannot be a week every weekend location for me. That gets very very expensive, and when I'm looking at going often, you know the deal. We got to cut our cost where we can. So I need to go and investigate over at Captain Jack's Shack maybe, and see if there's a good place that I can plug in there and maybe they won't notice. Maybe I can sneak away and get it into a certain spot. But I'll have to check that one out. Chris, am I a morning person? Depends on the morning. So I am not, I joke with people all the time. I am not a morning person. I'm not a night person. I am a day person. I function the best between 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon or about 5 o'clock in the evening. After that, I start getting tired. And before that, I'm just waking up and needing my coffee. I sleep about 9 hours every night, which is also something most people don't realize. So when I'm on the cruise ships, I still like to get 9 hours and try to keep a routine. But it's a lot. But I am not really a morning person at all. It takes me a while to get going. The video that was made yesterday, I did make first thing in the morning, but that's where me not being a morning person versus me just really wanting to get a good video out. I have something I want to talk about. I prioritize that to get it done. The coffee was very close, very similar to I have some water just off stage here. In that case, I had a huge bottle of iced coffee that I was drinking. I drink probably about 4 cups a day that I pour over ice. I brew it regularly and then pour it over ice to drink it. So let's see, what else do I have on my list of things to talk about today? Lost my screen. Oh, there it is. So group cruise reminder. So if you have not signed up for the group cruise, there's still space on the ship. So we don't have the group rate, to my knowledge, left anymore. I can always check with Ron, who's the travel agent that we're using for that. But please make sure that you are signing up for the group cruise. I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of you thought it was too soon out to book. So as we get closer to January 27th, when the ship is going to be going Liberty of the Seas out of Fort Lauderdale, Port Everglades, on January 27th. You can sign up. There still is space. The longer you wait, probably the more it's going to wind up costing. But I would love to see all of you on the Weekend Cruisers' first inaugural Weekend Cruise Group Cruise. I think that's how I would say that. I got to shorten some of these or come up with acronyms. So one thing that I've been working on, if you are interested in that, I will post the Jot form. I guess I could probably grab it pretty quick for you all to use. And there's a Facebook group where we're going to get to know each other. We're going to talk about all the upcoming activities. So if you are interested, make sure that you're filling out this Jot form that I just put. That allows Ron to let you know that you're interested. One thing that if you come on, I'm working on merchandise. So I don't know how much of a merch store I'm going to have, but I just got some professional logos made this week, and I am super excited to be introducing those on the group cruise with some of the merchandise. So I got to figure out, we'll go over to the Facebook group and kind of see what all the people going are looking for merch. What do you want? I don't want to give you things that you're just going to wind up trashing, but if it's actually something that you can use that you're going to like, I'm going to try my best. I am really, really pleased with how the logo turned out. I think it is a really good representation of this channel. And, hopefully it's going to come across well and it kind of captures the essence a little bit of the channel. So I'm excited to do that. Some of you within the inner circle or within what I call the Weekend Cruiser Council group have already seen what the logo looks like. And so it's gotten really good feedback. And when you see it, you go, that makes a lot of sense. So be on the lookout for the new logo. and maybe a merch store to come, but definitely merchandise will be given out on the group cruise as a thank you to all of you for coming on the freedom, or not the freedom, the Liberty of the Seas on January 27th with me. So we're looking forward to a great time. So, Chris, as far as my poor tripod, Um, it has not been found. It's funny. I actually saw that I have a friend of mine on Vision of the Seas this week, and I am so tempted to email and be like, "Hey, would you mind running by guest services real quick and just seeing if they found a tripod?" But I would hate to ask somebody to fly back internationally with a tripod that they did not count on. It is probably lost, so that is another one of the costs to going on cruises. I know one of the comments from Denise talked about, we've probably collectively in our little group lost enough to stock an entire house of stuff, from chargers to, I think I've left toiletries, definitely left electric toothbrushes. I have left so much stuff in cruise lines, in hotels. I try my best to check. I thought that I was checking everywhere. But I think when I went and filmed Mercedes, we did that in the Enchanted Evening Lounge in the back, or in the after the ship. And I think that I never brought it back from there, if I had to guess, because I don't remember it in the room. I don't remember it in my hotel when I left the ship. And so I think that I probably just never brought it back from that actual filming. So it wouldn't have been in the room where I know that I'm really scouring to make sure that I get everything. So long live the tripod. I will get another one though, because I do like having a tripod, especially when I'm set up at home. You all have seen the crystal blocks, the stratums. That's where I really like to sit because I'm very proud of those accomplishments, and it kind of shows you all the Royal Caribbean branding. It's my crew stuff, if you will. I can only do that with a tripod because I'm sitting in a higher chair, and I need something that's more my eye level, and I don't have a desk or counter close by that will allow me to do that. So I will be getting another tripod. I think those go for $50 or $60, hopefully. Maybe I should just email them and be like, "Hey, if I'm a second time buyer, would you give me a discount?" I might try that strategy a little bit and just see what they say. But such is life. So do make sure that you are signing up for the group cruise if you can. That's the important part. Love to meet all of you in person for that. So my upcoming schedule, I will be on Freedom of the Seas coming up. Shocker, I know, right? So I'm in North Carolina right now. And then I'm gonna have to go to North Carolina again. I'm gonna have to go to Charlotte for work next week. So I'm gonna have to take off next week as well. But on October 7th and October 14th, I'm going to be back on Freedom of the Seas. So I am really looking forward to getting back into Freedom of the Seas. And then from there, so on the 21st, I have booked a different cruise line again. So that will be really interesting. It is a weekend cruise, actually, but it is not with Royal Caribbean. I was looking for kind of a last minute deal. I feel like I found one of those. And so I have locked into MSC. So I am going to check out the Mediterranean Shipping Company for a weekend cruise out of Miami. Now, there's a few reasons why I chose to go with MSC, and I'll make a second video just walking everybody through why I did this. But I've been looking at MSC for a while. They are one of the first ones that started the loyalty program match situation. So I can take my Pinnacle status, and you can take Diamond, whatever you have, over to them. You just fill out a form and they will match it. So I'm going to go onto their ship at their absolute highest level, which is their black card. The value or things that you're going to get from it aren't as good as what you get on Royal Caribbean, especially at the Pinnacle level. But you do get 1 hour of the thermal suite, which I'm looking forward to. And I'm going to get a picture at their cocktail hour. Those are probably the two biggest items from the ship that I'm really looking forward to from that loyalty program. But it's nice that they did that. I also have seen their ships from the outside. I haven't been on the inside, but I've seen pictures and they look absolutely stunning. It is a different take on what a cruise ship looks like. And it is a little bit more glamorous, is what I hear. There's a lot more bling, a lot more crystals, because they've got the crystal staircase when you walk in. And so I'm really excited to be able to see those. I hope my ship has the staircase. I'm not sure which one of it I'm on. I believe it's the Divina potentially that I'm going on that. But I am really looking forward to it. And it was also dirt cheap. So for a solo cruiser, you all know we've got the single supplement. I've talked about it a lot because when you get a cabin on a cruise ship, you're paying for two people. Whether you put one person or two people in it, you are paying for both of those people. Up to you on how many people you put in it. On this sailing, and on many of MSC sailings, they don't have the single supplement. So I was able to book a weekend cruise for $300. And then the taxes and port fees, which I found interesting, were only $75 on top of that. So for all in, I'm at 375, I think it is, for a weekend cruise, which is extremely manageable. If I go out every single night to dinner on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with my friends, we're spending $50 to $80 probably per night. And so this with the entertainment, everything that's going to be included with it is absolutely cheaper than me staying on land. And so figured why let a weekend go to waste? I didn't have anything booked because I had a trip move around, but I am excited to get out there and try MSC for a change. So if any of you have any thoughts on how to really make sure I'm enjoying that MSC cruise, let me know. 3 nights is going to go really, really quick for a or for a new cruise ship for me. When I went over to Virgin, I talked about just learning my way around the ship because it is a different setup. It probably took me 3 days just to figure out where I was going on that ship because they just had horrible directions and a really bad layout. Beautiful ship, didn't like where they put everything. And so I'm kind of worried that I'm going to get on this MSC ship and, it's a reminder of me to what a lot of new people go through. Because if you have, I go on the ship all the time, it's my second home, right? But for people that are going the first time, they're probably having these same thoughts and, anxieties that I'm having. And it's really neat to put myself in, a newbie's shoes, if you will, to go on a different cruise line and remind myself what it's like to be a new cruiser. Us cruisers that go very, very frequently, we can kind of act like we own the ship sometimes. We, do our own thing. We have our own routines. So it's really good for me to go and be somebody who does not know what they're doing, and just experience the newness of having to go through this process all over again. So I'm sure that I'll be watching several of the other YouTube bloggers out there on what MSC is like, what I need to know. But 3 nights is going to go really quick. And of course, I'm going to try to capture as much as I can on it for camera to share with you all on what my experience was like there. I know a lot of solo cruisers are really considering MSC. Even with Royal Caribbean's 150% discount after 340 points, 100% discount is much better when you're only paying for just one person, if that's all that's going to be in your room. So I am excited to get over there and try that. Sam, thank you for the birthday wishes. Mitchell, do people at work know about your secret weekend identity? They do actually. So a few months ago, so it's interesting, and I don't talk about work often on here, but my boss's um, friend has a large TikTok channel that's out there. And so we got to chatting about it. And I said, oh, yeah, I dabble. I try social media. And I don't think that I said to what degree this channel has grown to, but it is fully disclosed. Everybody knows. But I've had a case where there's been an employee that I don't even know that picked up one of my videos and showed it to management, and so that's certainly a real thing that luckily I don't talk it. You guys know I don't talk bad about anything for the most part on this channel. It's a very realistic channel, but I'm not talking bad about anything. And so we did have a very quick conversation on that. I even forwarded in the video. All was absolutely on the up and up. But that's just how things go. My coworkers are very supportive of it. There's probably a lot of people that wish, even at the office, that they could do this kind of stuff. So I'm very fortunate to work with a really strong team of people. And they know that I'm still working very, very hard during the daytime hours. You all will see that I don't do anything online during the daytime hours. I am occupied. I have that full-time job that I like and I want to keep. So I make sure that I stay absolutely focused on doing a really, really great job there before I ever bounce over here and start doing a great job with all of you. That is very important to me. Sig Cruz, it is a great retreat for a weekend. So, one of the sayings that I kind of have is a weekend cruise where every weekend is a vacation. Because people are always like, "Oh, how do you go on a vacation all the time?" And I'm like, "It's just Saturday and Sunday. It's not really a vacation, if you will. It's just me going somewhere on the weekend." So it's not that big of a thing. Chris, you have a home in Carolina, Charlotte, but have been or gone to CA. Would you be the weekend cruiser if you did not live in Florida? No, I would not be the weekend cruiser when I lived in Florida. One of the reasons I moved down there was so that I could kind of become into the weekend cruiser. I knew that that was something that I wanted to really do. And so I relocated myself from Boston, Massachusetts, where I'd been for 11 years after graduating college, down to South Florida so I could cruise more. My strategy before I became the weekend cruiser was I would fly down on a Wednesday or Thursday, depending on the ship, but I would do like a weekend cruise. So I would get on Enchantment of the Seas, Empress of the Seas, Majesty, the old girls that are out there, do a weekend cruise. And then I'd come back, stay in a hotel for 3 nights. And then the Empress of the Seas was doing a 4 night sailing, leaving on Thursday, going to Key West on Friday, where I would still work. I would actually walk off the ship on Friday in a full suit and go to an office location that we have in Key West, work a full day, come back to the ship, and then we'd come back in on Monday like it was a normal weekend cruise. So with that, I any vacation time because my office location can be flexible, but it also made the best bang for my buck. So if I was going down to Florida and knowing that I needed to still be working, I could tag team a weekend cruise with a 4 nighter. And it's really not that much more of a difference versus me flying back and forth for a weekend. And I got to stay in sunny Florida for a little bit longer. Ryan, it absolutely, we manage our expenses to a T on where everything lies because, some people always say, oh, I could buy X with that. I am always thinking about, oh, I could get a cruise for that, or that's the internet, or something like that on the cruise ship. I am always thinking about those things. Samuel, watch several MSC full video tours on different YouTube channels beforehand. I will do that. So, one thing that I've learned about me is I haven't been researching a lot. So, you all have seen some of the Mediterranean videos from the Vision of the Seas that I did recently. And one thing that I kick myself a little bit for is I didn't research the ports where I was going. I've just been kind of on the busy side. And I think that I got comfortable just doing weekend cruises and things in the Caribbean where I know what to do, and I forgot that this trip is a little bit different and I should have researched it a little bit more. I'm still happy with the way that it turned out, but it was not as exciting of a trip as I was really looking forward to. And I think some of that, or a good portion of that, may just be on me. Yeah, I think some of the ports probably didn't have much to offer, but if I would have researched it some and kind of come up with something to do in addition to walking around, which is my favorite thing, I love getting immersed and lost in the city, but I also like to do an activity or, something hands-on. So if I would have researched a little bit more, I probably could have come up with something and I just honestly didn't do that. So that one is totally on me. Slotomaniac, happy birthday. Thank you, Slotomaniac. And Ryan, the spreadsheet is alive. It knows my pain. I definitely keep a budget to it. Sometimes I overspend every now and again, but I do try to keep to a budget so that majority of that can go to a cruise ship. So it's not really about keeping a budget. My expenses, except for cruise ships, lower so that I can go on more cruise ships at the end of the day. That's really what it comes down to. Nick on New York City, thank you for the $5 for the super chat. I was saying at the beginning of this, those mean a lot to me because I am trying to grow the channel. I'm always looking to upgrade the technology. I really need to do better with video quality. I definitely see other people and I'm like, oh, their videos look better than mine. I think I've got really good content. I love talking. That's one of my strong suits. But when it comes to the B-roll and the filming, that's something that I want to get a little bit better at. And unfortunately, that's probably going to take a little bit of money for me to make that happen. So thank you, Nick. Tony, hello. Welcome. And thank you for the happy birthday wishes. So I was just telling everybody I am turning 40 at this point. So I am super excited. Every year continues to get better for me. So I am really, really looking forward to it. Everything, so far, I remember being in my 20s when I first started traveling, and people said, oh, this is going to be the best year that you've had. I mean, you're not going to top this. And every year I have done more and more, and it has gotten better and better. And there's something about, number one, having a little bit of disposable income where, you can do these things, but also knowing yourself and what you like, where you want to go, how you want to spend your time. I am a lot more comfortable these days in my own skin, if you will, than I've ever been. And so I am really, really excited to see what the 40s have to offer. So super neat about that. Nick, thank you. I am glad that you enjoy the show. If you're going on Allure, I don't know that I have a lot of videos from Allure. I traditionally stay away from the bigger ships. I am definitely more of a medium size and small ship kind of guy. I've got a lot from the Oasis on here because I was there for about 3 weeks at the beginning of this year. But definitely check it out. You'll see a lot of similarities between the two. Um, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Lean into life in the English way. Um, welcome. Thank you. And I'm always going to be young at heart, hopefully. Though I recognize that, for a cruise guy, especially a frequent cruiser, I call myself an early adopter. I did not wait until, I've saved up a ton of money, until I've retired, and I can cruise the high seas as often as I want to. I went ahead and said, why am I going to put off today to retirement what I want to start doing now? So if I want to do something now, why am I going to wait until retirement to really start executing on that plan of fulfilling my dreams? And that's one of the catalysts that really got me down from Boston moving to Florida was why am I waiting to retire for me to be able to do this? If I can realign some stuff, change some priorities, I'm able to bring that dream to life much earlier. And that's, some advice that I would give all of you if you're looking at doing stuff. Prioritization is huge. We all make the sacrifices that I did. I completely understand that one. But it can be done. You don't have to wait till retirement to start cruising a little bit more. So I'll check out Hoffman Happy Travels for their tour. He does a fantastic video. He's another YouTuber that is out there, and he can talk for I think much longer than I can for 3 hours straight, and it's all quality, solid content the entire time. I watch his videos, and I am in awe of how he can do that. So if you're not checking out Hoffman Travel, check out Hoffman Travel. I think it's one of the better channels that are out there. And luckily for you, Samuel, this is not the English grammar police. I totally do those kind of mistakes all the time and catch them because I know better. But when you're typing so quick and trying to get those questions out there, it can go really, really quick. All right, so that is kind of everything that I had prepared for all of you today. I'm curious if there's any questions that you want me to answer. It can be about the Mediterranean cruise, Vision of Seas, that I just got off of. It can always be about a weekend cruise coming up or maybe something different. But if you have any questions, I'm always here and glad to help. So, Chris coming in with the first question. See, you keep seeing cruises where people get rowdy. Have you witnessed this or is it very rare? Um, I would say that it is rare. I can remember one cruise, weekend cruise on Freedom of the Seas, where it was just a belligerent crowd. I don't know what was in the water, alcohol, for that cruise, but this crowd was just belligerent. So at Studio B, for instance, and this is going back pre-COVID, I believe. Um, that we were having a great time at Studio B. A fight breaks out. They straight it up. Next thing you know, another fight broke out. There was about 4 fights in the span of an hour at Studio B, all with different people, until they finally said, "Guys, we've had enough. We're closing down the red party at Studio B, and you can go back to your cabin or go somewhere else. But we're not doing this anymore." That's the only really time that I remember seeing a fight break out. What I see more common, and this is unfortunate, and in some of the videos you've seen with people fighting, I think that some of this comes across is domestic issues. I have seen more times than not couples getting into very heated arguments, pushing and shoving. And I've personally had security called on some people. If you are fighting, pushing and shoving each other, and you're doing that by the railing of the cruise ship, that is just not a good idea. And so I did alert security that they needed to handle that event. But that's where I see most of the issues. Is normally not with strangers like it was that one time in Studio B. It's more with people that know each other. It is with your partner that you're spending a lot of quality time with on a cruise ship, and you might just be getting on each other's nerves a little too much. Or alcohol kicks in, and there's something else that is out there, especially on a weekend cruise. The drink package is alive and well. I actually just scripted a drink package video yesterday. So while I'm flying in planes, most of the time I'm sitting in my seat scripting out videos. So I've now scripted one that's going to review and say, is the drink package worth it? Should you get it? And I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can lose the drink package. But on a weekend cruise, majority of the folks, I'd love to actually see the true percentage. Majority of the folks do buy the drink package, and they make full use of that. Let's see what else is in the comments. Any other questions? Actually, Sam, now that you mention it, it's hard travel that I was talking about earlier, not Hoffman. Hard travel is the one that I really like. And I have been on a cruise with him before. Great guy. And he's the one that can talk for 3 hours with solid quality content the entire time. Sorry about that, Hoffman. Hoffman's a great channel too, but I did get the two confused there. Mitchell, it is not quite bedtime for me yet. I've got a few more hours left on this, but probably about 10:30, I'm crawling into bed. Doug, thank you for the birthday wishes from DC. John, just recently on Oasis two-bedroom Aqua Suite through Royal Up. Congratulations on that. Hopefully you did the minimum bid to get that. That is a huge win. Um, and you were able to see the Aqua 80s, was a great time, multiple experiences. What are your go-tos on RCO, food, drink that are constant? So the Aqua Suite is a wonderful location. That is one of the only videos that I did that was a negative review, I'll say, where I, would not want to stay in that room anymore because I just felt like it was so terribly dated on the Oasis of the Seas. But they fixed some of the problems. It's funny. I was on one of the cruises on Freedom, I think, and somebody saw me in the elevator. They're like, "Oh, you did the room tour. They fixed the Wi-Fi in the room. Thank you for mentioning that because they fixed it because of you." So super excited to hear that people actually do watch these videos and take some of the feedback. So my go-tos that are out there. So I'll start with drinks. So as many of you all know, I don't drink alcohol. So what I did have or do drink a lot of is an non-alcoholic brand of wine called Free. Maybe you pronounce it Frey. I've seen it a few different ways, but it's FRE that they keep on the ship. It is extremely hard to find, and it is a non-alcoholic sparkling wine. They've got a Chardonnay and a Pinot Noir or a red that are all non-alcoholic. You can find these often in the Diamond and Sweet Lounge if you ask the right person. Sometimes, though, you have to get the bar manager involved to say, yes, we actually do have it on the ship. Here's where it's at. And they will serve it, I know, at least in the Diamond and in the Sweet Lounge. I've seen it at Vintages as well. They traditionally have it there. But sometimes they'll want to serve it by the entire bottle, and they charge $30 for a non-alcoholic bottle of sparkling wine, which just makes absolutely no sense to me. But I will find some places where they'll let me do it by the glass. And I don't know if that's them bending the rule a little bit or being kind, but that is my go-to drink. From there, it's going to be just a basic cranberry or club soda with a splash of cranberry and a lime on it. So that is my other go-to. For food, I'll start in the main dining room. There's definitely some things that I love in the main dining room. They do a really good aged roast beef or aged prime rib that I really, really like. That's something I always look forward to. It's got some potato on it as well. So, that's probably my favorite thing that's in there. I'll often get the Waldorf salad. And one of my friends today, Meryl, actually said, hope you have a great birthday and get some key lime pie. That is something that I absolutely love on the ship. One of my favorite desserts is the key lime pie at Chops. But even the key lime pie in the main dining room is actually pretty solid. There are two different takes on what a key lime is, but it is really good in both locations. My other favorite dessert is going to be a baked Alaska or the pavlova. So a lot of people don't get the pavlova with the fruit on it, but it's really good if you like meringue. Same goes for a baked Alaska. It is ice cream and sugar because it's like that meringue on the outside of it. You can't go wrong with it. It's super good. The other is the docal orange, though I believe they've changed that a little bit with the braised cabbage underneath it. That's something that I often always get as well. So those are some of my go-to items that are out there. Emily, thank you for the birthday wishes. And John, thank you so much for the chat. Again, I got to learn what these things are called if I'm going to be doing this. So thank you for that. That means a lot to me. Yes, saw that video, which I'm not sure, John, which video you're referring to there, but there are not many reviews on it. It was still crazy. I think you're talking about the room that was the two-bedroom Aqua Suite. Yeah, there's not a lot of reviews on that because I think a lot of people that are there want to enjoy it and don't want to do the room tour because the room tour is actually the longest room tour that I've ever done. Normally, I like to keep them around 8, 9 minutes max if I can't do it quicker, because it's just a room at the end of the day. Like I'm showing you the cabinet space and all this, which is great. And hopefully some of my best practices or tips for it. But this room took me, I think, close to 20 minutes to do because it's two bedrooms. You've got the outside, you've got two bathrooms, you've got the outside area by the aqua suite, and just a lot of things to chat through. So it took me a long time to get it, which is interesting when I see that it also wound up being my favorite, or not my favorite, but one of my most viewed, it probably the most viewed room tour that I did. So I was really pleased to see that. Sam, you don't drink either. Welcome to the club. It is very possible to go on a cruise ship and not drink. So I joke with people. So I used to drink. I'm not somebody who has never drank. I stopped, I think, a little over 5 years ago. I might be coming up on six now. But I was cruising when I initially started drinking, or excuse me, I was drinking when I initially started cruising. And it took me a little while to adjust because when you are on a cruise ship and you're drinking, there's a lot of things that really follow a drinking schedule, if you will. There's a lot of places you want to go to have a drink and things that you want to do. I still remember back when they used to have the $1 mimosas. Who remembers those? From the casino, I'd go in there, get a mimosa, two-hand mimosa for $2, and then I'd have them poured into a pint glass because I'm, a fancy person like that, so that I could carry it easier and not spill it. But I always, thought that that was a really great deal to have. $2 and you get two mimosas. Not a bad price. I'm sure the mimosa or the alcohol quality was not the highest for it, but it was pretty good. So after I quit, I had to kind of relearn how to go on a cruise and what I enjoyed. And luckily, the transition wasn't that hard. And I probably need to make a video on this as well at some point on, what are things for non-drinkers to do on a cruise, even a weekend cruise. You don't have to be a drinker to enjoy yourself and actually have a really good time. If you want to do that, absolutely drink it up. The drink package is made for you. But there's also a lot of alternatives for us non-drinkers as well. Got it. So I did have the right one, John, on the two-bedroom aqua suite that you were talking about. Charles, is the specialty dining worth it? You'll be on your third weekend cruise on Navigator. Perfect. So that's what I was going to say. I think that if you're going on a weekend cruise, the ultimate dining package, UDP as we call it for short, is actually a really good value, especially on Navigator to the Seas. I think that it's going to be a little bit cheaper these days. It hasn't been sailing at capacity, and so you probably can get it at a better rate. So check that out. But I would recommend it. Navigator also has one of my favorite specialty restaurants on it, which is Hooked. So there's very few ships. I think there's only two or three at this point that have the seafood restaurant Hooked on it as a specialty. And the mussels in the white wine sauce that they make in there, the bread that they bring out, the lobster rolls, it is all fantastic. So you will definitely get your money's worth on a weekend cruise if you want to look at the dining package. What I will say though, if you're going on a 7 night sailing, the dining package to me doesn't really make sense. With Star Class, if you're getting that two-bedroom aqua suite, you're automatically going to have the ultimate dining package. But I don't think that there's a reason why you would need to. They have other packages such as a buy one get one free that you can do, or it's chops plus one. I think that's a really good idea, just so you can mix it up, get the experience. Especially the food is better than the main dining room, but main dining room these days, y'all, is pretty solid food. It's actually pretty good. So I wouldn't overthink needing to do specialty restaurants because the food in the main dining room is really, really good. There's some cruises where that's all that I will eat. I definitely would not probably want to eat in a specialty dining restaurant every night for 7 consecutive nights. And then some lunches, you get the option of doing specialty as well with the package. That to me is just a lot, and I am glutton for gluttony at that point. See what I did there? I got a little creative. So I would only do one or two, and the rest of the time I'd be in the main dining room or the Windjammer because I think 7 straight nights of specialty would just be a lot for me personally. But the food is there. You would also get to do a few of them a few times over on the bigger ships if you do that. Um, so I don't see that it's really worth it for the ultimate dining package at that point. Rose, you're interested in a solo cruise. Oh, I'm so excited. On Norwegian, the rooms look tiny, but you don't have to pay the supplement. The lounge in that part of the ship looks really nice. I do know about this. So I have never done this. So Norwegian for solo cruisers has an entire section dedicated to a solo cruiser. And it doesn't mean that there's nobody else on the ship that you cruise with. It could be like if I went with my parents who got a really nice balcony room, I could then just get this studio room and they'll charge me for one person. It doesn't have the single supplement or the charge for two people. So the good thing with this is that you're paying a much cheaper prayer. You're only paying for one person. The problem with this, Rose, and you'll see this even on the Royal Caribbean ships that have studio cabins, which you sometimes can get at a really good deal. They price those cabins the same way they do a normal cabin. So it's going to be priced based on supply and demand. So for a studio cabin, you're only going to have probably what 10 to 15 of them, maybe. And so if five of those sell, it's going to say, oh, wow, these are really in demand. We need to now up the price. So if you're looking for studio cabins, I always recommend people to look really, really far in advance. I've taken some with Royal Caribbean and I have saved a ton of money, especially when you look at going over to Europe where the sailings are more expensive. They can be a really great value, but you're going to want to try to book that early or at least price out what is a regular room compared to the studio. Because I have seen a lot of times, especially with Royal, that a studio room will be more expensive than if I just book a traditional room. The other thing, and you mentioned this, Rose, the Norwegian studio cabin is extremely teeny. I mean, you have the bed in the room, you've got a little bit of side on the sides, and you've got your own bathroom, but it is not a large room at all. The directly outside of this, so very similar to a suite section where you got to badge in to get into a suite section. They have that for their suite or for their studio solo cruiser lounge, where you'll be able to badge in. You'll have your staterooms in there, but you're also going to have a sitting area with complimentary coffee, things of that nature, and it gives you a hangout spot where you can see who else is kind of cruising by themselves and probably a decent place to say hello and strike up a conversation. I have not tried that before. I'd be very interested in going on Norwegian and trying that. So if you go, Rose, you'll have to let us know what you think. But that is a really good thing that you could also do. Tony talking about 7 day cruise, the 3 night dining package. That probably to me sounds like a really reasonable amount to do as well. So I think that that makes a lot of sense. Definitely, Charles, try it on the Navigator. It's one of my favorite places I'd want you to try it on. Uh, Elites, you are currently on the Freedom of the Seas. Like right now, I'm hopefully let me know in the comments. How's this coming through? What's your download speed like on Starlink? You're getting between 500 to 100. Oh, you already told me. Megabytes per second down, 3 to 10 on the up. Was able to confirm you're on SpaceX. That is fantastic. If they can stick to those speeds of 50 to 100, that is a game changer. I do wish that the upload was a little bit more because one of the biggest things when people are talking about speed is not just downloading. Downloading is great if you want to download like a Netflix movie and you don't want to do it overnight on the cruise ship. You want to stream something that your kiddos can watch. That's where download really comes in handy. But for those of us that would love to have a life at sea, we're probably going to want to do a lot of video conferencing. And so, whether it's a Zoom meeting, whether it's me going live, we would want to have those upload speeds a little bit higher, a little bit more consistent to make sure that I could stream at a solid rate. I like to push through content when I'm doing a live stream. I think this might be 720, maybe it's 1080. Again, I'm not the most technology person, but I would really love to see that upload speed a little bit higher. But I'm super glad to hear that the download speed is where it needs to be because that is fantastic. If they keep it there, on especially when they roll it out to all the ships, I'm gonna love life because right now the variability between all the ships is a lot. And I keep joking with people, and I'm surprised nobody has ever done this. But somebody needs to make a spreadsheet of what technology is on the cruise ships. So is it OB3? Is it Starlink? Is it the older system, which I don't even know the name of it? And what are the speeds you can expect if you go on this cruise ship? So, we call it the fastest internet at sea. That's how it's marketed. That doesn't always mean that it is fast. It's just the fastest of the slow. So if you go on a cruise ship and it doesn't have Starlink, even if it does these days, make sure that you're giving it a little bit of grace and you're not expecting to conquer the world from your download speeds. It doesn't work at 50 every single one, but I'm super glad to hear that that's where it's at right now. Elite. I do have Instagram. So you can follow me at Instagram at the Weekend Cruiser. I try to keep everything the same. And I do dabble in TikTok. I haven't posted a TikTok in a little while, but I do have a TikTok account that's the Weekend Cruiser, all one word, same as Instagram. I do a lot more on Instagram. And there's a Facebook page for the Weekend Cruiser. So I'll oftentimes post over there videos, upcoming events, or more thoughts. Instagram is more just neat pictures that I like to share with everybody, kind of show you what I'm doing on my adventures. And then here on YouTube is where the long form content comes out, where it's really educational for whether you're a new cruiser or talking about some issues that more Pinnacle members or people that cruise very frequently would have concerns for. So I try to do a good smattering of wherever you are on your cruising journey, whether you're a newbie or you're a more advanced cruiser. I try to have some content that's great for everybody. And then TikTok is more 60-second quick hits. I probably need to start posting those to my Instagram reel or to a YouTube short, but I'm still figuring all that out. So we're growing the channel, we're getting there, but maybe coming soon, you'll start seeing a lot more of that. Samuel's reaffirming that, yeah, if you're doing the studio cabin rows on NCL, make sure you book that early. Sig Cruiser finding that studio cabins are about the same as an interior. They really are. And if you're booking either a studio or interior, go ahead and just get the interior. It's going to be a larger room and you're going to get the extra points by being solo in that cabin. So if you're trying to move up, I know Norwegian gives extra points as well. If you pay the double occupancy in a room by yourself, they'll give you double points in their program. Same with Royal Caribbean. Celebrity, on the other hand, does not. Theirs is all based on the category that you book. Elite, watching in 70/20, no problem. That is fantastic. How many candles do I want? Hey, Java. How many candles do I want? So I did have one for the birthday celebration with my parents for lunch today, and it had four candles on it. We then just multiplied by 10, but there are these really big four zero, a big four and a zero that my mom was able to find. I don't know if she bought these or just switched around a zero and a four, but we utilized or commandeered my niece's birthday cake. So it was kind of neat. We were able to turn it so that it still looked like it was a full cake. But we celebrated her birthday yesterday, flipped the cake around, and now we're celebrating my birthday today since she was yesterday. So definitely part of a family tradition. I thought it was pretty cool. The colors were probably not my color scheme, but they were definitely that of a 16-year-old now. And Elite, if you have 5G T-Mobile, you probably have your calling assist turned on or Wi-Fi calling assist. It's not. It shouldn't be 5G at least. You'll see the bars that you can get phone calls, but it shouldn't be 5G. But it does work. I mean, depending what time is it? You're 6:30. You might actually still have solid reception out of Miami because I know you just left on your weekend cruise. So you may actually still have it. It lasts for I think about 10 miles out to sea. It's longer than you would normally think. BTC Elite. He's talking about the Bahamas Telecommunication Network. So they've got two different ones. I personally have a Alive ALIV hotspot that I use when we're in the Bahamas to get better speeds. But if Starlink is going to be kicking up and giving me those solid speeds that you just said, I've had variability when I'm there. But if they can consistently get that, I would love to not have to buy an $80 Bohemian package every month. Though it's not a bad deal. When am I going back on Virgin? So great question. I would love to go back. They have a lot of short sailings. So they've got a lot of 4 and 5 day sailings, which aren't ideal for me. They have one 8 night cruise that I was trying to go on in December, but I can't get that much time. So I need a Goldilocks period of time. But I do have it marked for next year as a tentative for one of mine back on the Scarlet Lady again. I would love to get on Valiant Lady while she's here mainly so that I can get another ship model that is a crystal. So I don't know if you all saw the Scarlet Lady ship model that I got. It is beautiful and fits in with all my Royal Caribbean crystal blocks. Kind of an odd mix. It's which one of these does not belong, but it really fits in on that shelf with everything else. So I'd love to get another one to match it up and give it, a friend up on the shelf with the Valiant Lady. So hopefully I'll make it back on Virgin. I had a blast on Virgin. There are definitely some issues with it, but it was just really nice to know that I was the target audience for just about everything that they were doing. I was their guest profile, and I would love to go back on Virgin Voyages. So more to come on that. Any idea of your charge for roaming in the ocean? So, best practice anytime you get on a cruise ship and you leave a port, make sure that you are switching your phone over to airplane mode. If you are on T Mobile, you have less to worry about. The issue comes in if you leave it on and the phone switches into cellular at sea network. So, with that, if you're running Wi Fi and cellular at sea at the same time, T Mobile or whatever phone that you're on may make that call over cellular at sea. I have made that mistake more times than I would care to admit. And those bills are significant because you are paying $5 to $6 per minute. And so my bill, I think I've had two of them with T-Mobile that came in at $500 to $600 because I did not realize that I was not making a Wi-Fi call. So always make sure as a best practice you are switching over to airplane mode, whatever your phone is, so you don't get any surprises like that either. I have since switched over to Google Fi. So if you're looking at a different option, they still have this. They're like a reseller of T-Mobile and US Cellular. They have much lower by minute rates. So if you do make the mistake with Google, which I've not really done too much, it's like 5 cents a minute. That I can handle versus $5 a minute. Much, much different. Sesame Street ship model. It is. Everybody is welcome on Sesame Street, which, by the way, I just learned that Sesame Street is a legit neighborhood or a legit street in New York City. I had no idea. So that's really good to know. How much did the taxis cost in the Mediterranean? They were actually pretty cheap for the most part. Barcelona was the most expensive. But compared to Miami, it felt like it was about on track. When I lived in Boston, though, Ubers were super expensive. Down in Miami in the Florida area, they're not that bad. And I felt like it was similar prices. I would jump in one in a heartbeat. Their taxis are actually really nice. You don't necessarily need to go through the rideshare options of Lyft or Uber. They don't actually have a lot of those. They have Cabify or Free Now. And if you call one, you're going to wind up getting a yellow taxi. But their yellow taxis, different than what I've seen here in the States, are actually pretty nice. They're well taken care of. They're clean. They're newer. They take credit cards every single time with no issue, which is something that I really liked. And I think my biggest bill was like 12 bucks. Actually, from Barcelona to the airport, which is, a more solid ride, I think that was 27, which still wasn't bad. So, Java, don't worry about taking a taxi or cab when you're traveling over in Europe. Absolutely, they're cheap. Just know that you can't always hail them. Sometimes you got to have an app to be able to call them. All right, everyone. So we are coming up at the hour mark. So call for last questions. If you got any, let me know. Otherwise, I'm probably going to call it a night and go out to a birthday celebration with my family. They're actually downstairs watching right now from the TV. So, hey, mom and dad, which is a pretty neat kind of thing. So, JRX just discovered the channel. Any recommendation where to stay in Barcelona? Stay central. Barcelona is an amazing walking town. So make sure that you're just getting location, location, location. You can figure out the hotel. You're not going to be there very much, but do make sure that you find something where you can walk around and get lost in Barcelona. It is a beautiful city and it's extremely walkable. So that would be my biggest takeaway is just make sure that you are finding something that's going to be in a really walkable neighborhood. All right, everyone. This is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser. Hoping to see you on a weekend cruise soon. Thank you all for tuning in to the live, and we'll chat soon.